Good evening. For those of you who are tuning in through our social media, I am Elena Kelly, and I am excited to welcome you to a special presentation of our Vacation Bible School. We're having a blast in here this week, but tonight we have a special guest, and that guest is none other than Dr. Ben Weger. He is, I want to say, he's the chief of adolescent pediatrics or adolescent medicine at Womack Army Medical Center. So he is a real doctor, okay? And but has a passion for the plight of adolescents and young adults. And I happened to hear a presentation that he did probably less than a month ago, and I just felt like everyone needs to hear this. And I asked him right after the presentation, I was like, would you come to my church? Would you come to my Vacation Bible School? He's like, absolutely. And so I'm so grateful that he's able to come tonight and be a part of this and to share a wealth of knowledge with you. Y'all, this is especially for my adolescents and my young adults. What some of the things that he said was extremely eye-opening to me. It might not be new to you, but I really want you all to get this information. So let's stay focused and let's give him our undivided attention. And welcome Dr. Ben Weger. Woo!
So yes, my name is Ben Weger. I'm actually a doctor. Um, I take care of primarily teenagers and young adults, and I've been out of the Army for a couple years now, but I've been taking care of people now for 20 plus years. So I'm old, but I'm emotionally 13, so I kind of split both worlds. A lot of times what I find is that people are afraid to have uncomfortable conversations because you feel weird inside, and parents feel weird inside, and kids feel weird inside, and so a lot of folks are left to kind of figure things out on their own. And what we find is that when you don't have open, honest conversations that are informative about what's actually going on, there are people who are very willing to take advantage of that, usually so they can take from you. So they can take your money, they can take your time, they can take your attention that you would otherwise be spending on things that actually make your life better or the lives of others better. It's very pervasive in today's society where there are people that want to capitalize on folks that are in their teenage and young adult years. And so do you want me to like wave my hand? I want to just change it, or how do you want to flip slides and stuff? You just keep rolling. Okay. So go ahead and bring it up. So we're talking about the social media sex work pipeline. People internally cringed. Okay, I know that there's some adults like, oh, and there's some kids like, oh, and so everyone is, trying to look as comfortable as possible while being extremely uncomfortable inside. So let's just acknowledge that. Okay, so I'm MD, me doctor, so stands for that too. RN, I'm actually a registered nurse also, and I'm also a paramedic. So next thing would be a game show host, which I'm hope will be entertaining. Something like between Jeopardy and Wipeout. So you have to have smart stuff and people get knocked into water. So there's that. So I'll go ahead, next one. This is a standard disclaimer. This is not the views of the Department of Defense, Defense Health Agency, Womack Army Medical Center, the Klingon Empire, nothing like that. This is me. I'm required to do that because I'm still employed by them, and I would like to stay employed by them because my wife shows dogs, and that's expensive. They eat a lot. The next. BLUF, who knows what that stands for? By the way, I like things interactive because there's nothing worse than listening to someone talk here as they go between different slides, and then you're kind of waiting for this to end, and you kind of go to your happy place inside your head, waiting for it to end. Please, please let it end. So the more interactive it is, the better. And I want you to ask questions. I really, really do. Even if you think they're dumb, those are the best questions because everybody can learn from it. So BLUF, who knows what that stands for? Bottom line up front. So one of the positive things I actually took away from the military. So folks are influenced by media, always have been. It's been TV, radio, movies, magazines, all that. But especially folks in 8, 9, 10, all the way to the late 20s. Social media is a fairly new phenomena. Some of us remember a world before that existed, and it's expanding, and there's always new forms, and that's taking advantage of new technologies and resources that are out there to serve different kinds of content, and that content is influencing children, and it's sexualizing them. And an unintended consequence of that is the sexualization of teenagers and kids has led to people turning to sex work to make money. And in a lot of cases, it's glamorized. So, next slide. It's important to know what you're talking about. If I came up here and I started talking to you in a different language, you'd look at me like, what is he saying? I have no idea what he's saying here. So, understanding what different terms mean, because I've heard people absolutely have just terrible arguments about, well, they're saying this, like, no, they're saying this, but they're actually using the same words, but they mean different things. So we'll talk about what that means, why adolescent brains are different, how things have been normalized in society, what's going on in social media, and what actually modern sex work stuff looks like. Okay? So next up is just a quote talking about, we have to live, with the words that we use. So if I use a word or a phrase or something that you don't understand, put your hand up, ask the question, I will answer it. Okay, and that's okay. I try to use words like everybody else uses, but sometimes doctor words slip in there. I can't help it. I wear shoes that I don't have to tie, so that way, I can fit more doctor knowledge in there, and so that can be painful sometimes. So hopefully I don't use anything that nobody understands. So next slide. Grooming. Anybody who's been on the internet, watched videos, watched television recently, has heard the word grooming. Well, what does it even mean? Well, in this specific context, internet grooming is where someone establishes a relationship with someone else, usually a teenager, child, young adult, with the goal of getting something from them or hurting them, usually for their own personal gain. Okay? And it used to be, before social media, it was done in person, but now it's made it easier to contact everybody, because one of the first things that was said, put your phones away. Raise your hand, you got a phone. Guess what? They got access to you. Yeah. So, not so comfortable now, is it? So, and all these different platforms have access to your information, and people can access you through that media. So, internet grooming, the goal is to exploit or use that person, usually for personal gain, oftentimes causing harm. Excellent. Yes? Mm-hmm. So the origins of the root word is to, grooming is to make kept or to make something in order, okay? So when you're grooming them, when you do facial grooming, like my beautifully coiffed beard here. Beard game is on point. Okay? It's they call me Dollar Tree Santa, so, so there's that. But you're doing something with the intention of making it how you want it. And so they're shaping, molding, and controlling these people into what they want for their own gain. And that's the origin of the word grooming. Okay? Like a horse groomer make him pretty. Facial grooming, make my face pretty. I'm still working on that one. Okay? Next up. So exploitation, to utilize. And exploitation in itself doesn't necessarily mean something bad, but oftentimes in this context, it does. So oftentimes someone uses an advantage that they have, like more maturity, money, fear, power, threats, just to get someone to do something for them. But there's a newer phenomena where people are essentially exploiting themselves, not realizing they're causing themselves a lot of harm now and in the future for their own gain, but it's actually for the gain of other people. Okay? So, well, is it wrong for me to exploit myself? It's well, is it going to cause you harm? Is it going to hurt your soul? Is it going to hurt your heart? Going to hurt your parents' heart? Going to hurt your job prospects? People don't ask these questions, and they should be asking these questions, and they should have those conversations. Next up, sexting. So this is one of the first kind of, outroads into the mainstream conversation about what that means. And it is extraordinarily commonplace, unfortunately, for people to send explicit images and videos of themselves to other people, usually through text message, but also through other apps. And while I think people should be able to do as they wish, that's a crime. If someone is under the age of 18, that's a violation of federal law. And what a lot of people don't realize is that the person who is sending it is breaking the law, the person who's receiving it is breaking the law, and the people who have the contract for the cell phone or media can be held liable for that. So if parents are paying for this person's phone and they're exchanging what's essentially child sex abuse material legally, then everyone could theoretically go to jail, get fined, have really bad trouble. But nobody thinks this because it happens so often. And now there's a generation of folks that are growing up where it's okay if you do it, just don't put your face in it. Which, it's still illegal and it still exploits people. Next up. Sex work. And this is a big word and it can mean a lot of different things. And, you know, a lot of times people think this is just the adult entertainment industry. But it can be everything from doing sexy pictures all the way up to full-on prostitution. And so it's a very broad term, and there's a phrase now, sex work is work. Well, that's true. You're doing something in exchange for money, but you can also be an assassin, and that's work. So we say like assassin work is work. So there's a lot of people who try to, you know, put everything under this umbrella and say, well, because we're empowering people and we're acknowledging people's freedoms and the right to choose different things, that this is all okay. Well, the thing is, a lot of folks don't think about what are the unintended consequences of the work that's going on. What, you know, all I think of is what's going on right now, not is 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road. And it affects people's lives constantly, because I see it. Next. So who are adolescents? The long and short of it is, I don't do PowerPoint karaoke where I read everything off the slide because that's terribly painful and it insults your intelligence. So there's stuff up there, but there's also, I'm going to use it in other words for you. So the time for being a kid, the time to being a full-grown adult is adolescence. It's a period of change. It's where you figure out who you are. And so you go from yes, no, right, wrong, good, bad, black, white, to a whole other possibility. You can actually see the world in a completely different way. That's why you can see parents and kids talking about the same thing, but have no idea what the other person is talking about because they can't speak both languages. So you figure out who you are, you learn how to communicate with different people, and you learn abstract thought. So the ability to take the imagination and reality, smash it together, and project that out into the future. Okay? So adolescence is that period where you go from being a child to an adult. And that occurs both cognitively, how your brain works. It occurs physically, how your body is sized, and reproductive growth occurs during that time. Next. So, I pull things from popular culture. Anybody know who this is? From Harry Potter. Okay, you know the character? Not Harry Potter. That is Neville Longbottom, the real hero of Harry Potter. So, one interesting thing about modern entertainment is that you can actually see in long series, folks grow up. And that's actually what happened on this particular set of movies. So puberty starts, and girls start before boys, and they're starting earlier and earlier. We don't fully understand why. It probably has something to do with things that they're exposed to, either their environment or through the things that they eat. But I have now seen people, going through puberty as early as 7. And that has some really negative consequences. That's a whole other talk. But girls always start before boys, on average. Puberty starts meaning you start thinking about yourself. Your voice changes a little bit, sometimes. You get hair in strange places, and your skin starts looking awful, usually. So the time you want to be pretty, it's very difficult to be because your body's rebelling. Now you're still thinking about, yes, no, right, wrong, good, bad, because you still have childlike thinking. And you don't want to wait, you want it now, okay? You want to be accepted by everyone. Different is bad, same is good. Everyone has usually a same-sex friend group, but your idea about the world is largely fantasy. Okay? Next. Who is this? This is also Neville Longbottom. Yeah. and I match the ages from the movies to the actor on here. So it says, puberty is complete. What does that mean? That means they can have babies, and that's all that it means. It doesn't mean that they should. It doesn't mean that they can support them. It doesn't mean they're not going to have complications, but physically you can. And that can complicate things when your body has an adult body, but your brain is not an adult brain. It's a unique mixture of abstract thought and concrete thought. You can have the best plans imaginable. You can think of some really amazing stuff, but some huge, huge flaws. Let me give you a real life example. Imagine if you wanted to go on YouTube, and you had a pool, and you had a trampoline, and you had a roof. If you want to get a bunch of views, you could jump off of the roof onto the trampoline in the pool. That would be entertaining, right? Except not thinking about your feet could go through the trampoline and you break both your femurs. Yeah, that's a true story. So, some really wonderfully awful plans. There's increased risk taking because you're trying to figure out what's going on in the world. So you're trying out new stuff. You're looking at things like, so for the internet and social media, you're looking for stuff that's kind of different, stuff that's kind of out there to trying to figure out they don't want me to see this, so I want to see it. Okay, and a lot of people do that. You start developing relationships. Sometimes people start exploring their sexuality. They start exploring different interpersonal relationships, and this is where you see people start engaging in sexual activity. This is also one of the tremendous groups of people with infections. Now, a lot of them can be treated, but some of them cannot. And this particular area here is extraordinarily high for sexually transmitted infections. I mean, just extraordinarily high. And some of those can cause lifelong consequences, even if they're treated. So folks that wanted to grow up, wanted to have a family, may not be able to because they have permanent damage to the reproductive system. Okay. Next. Who is this? Neville Longbottom. There's actually a phrase like that called long bottoming, where you go from being kind of a kid who's looks a little dumpy to, well, that. You're physically mature, you can think about things, you think less about yourself and more about others. That's why the age of enlistment is 18, because you have a goal outside yourself. Before 18 is typically me. 18 plus, it's how can I relate to the greater group around me. And that can be in social organizations, it can be army, things like that. But when it comes to like societal change, do you typically see 15, 6-year-old folks marching in the streets? Or do you typically see a lot more people in their early 20s? Early 20s. So developmentally, that's what's going on in their brains. So that's just kind of an overview of just brain development during the adolescent period. And so people will absorb information differently depending on where they're at. And so when I talk to people, I have to figure out, okay, does their age match up to where they're developmentally at? Next. So, Epictetus. Who has heard of Epictetus? Outstanding. He is an old dead dude from Rome, Greece, that type of area. And so he says, you become what you give attention to. Have you ever heard of you are largely the sum of the people you have around you the most? So if you surround yourself with people who take away from your life, who do things that are going to get you in trouble, who break the law, who treat their bodies badly, you're probably going to treat yourself the same way. So if you don't choose what you consume, if you don't choose what you expose yourself to, other people will, and it's usually for their gain. This has been known for a couple thousand years. So this is not new in humanity. This has been a human flaw that's existed since people have been around. So this is not a new concept. Next. Who's this guy? But who's Peter Sampson? He's a dead dude. Yeah, he's an old dead dude. But this guy actually changed advertising forever. Okay? So, in 1950s, if you wanted to sell cornflakes, you would say, these are my cornflakes. They're delicious. Eat them. Look how delicious it is. Well, that can only sell so much. Peter Sampson was a psychologist. And what he figured out was, if you make something sexy, it will sell more. And the first commercials they did were completely cringe. It was so bad. It was just like, buy these, oh, thank you. Buy these Cheerios, they're sexy. And they sold more. I mean, it sounds stupid, but it worked. And so they kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. So he's considered the father of the whole, this, modern age of sex sells. Next. And sex does sell. They're taking the advantage of our deeply rooted brain's desire to procreate. And so we associate, well, if it works for them, it works for me. Why do we wear designer brands? It's a status symbol. It looks cool. I mean, would you wear Louis Vuitton or would you wear, whatever you got on the clearance rack at Walmart? Louis Vuitton's a status. It's cool. It's nice. It's high fashion. Now, they both do the same thing, but one is sexy and one is cheap. Okay, next. Who knows what a thirst trap is? Yeah. Now we're getting to the juicy stuff. All right. Yeah. So, a thirst trap has nothing to do with a bottle of water. This is just a funny meme. So, essentially a thirst trap is where you throw out a sexy picture to get attention. Okay? And a whole lot of people, I would guarantee people in this room, not myself of course, because, well, I'm me, but other people in this room may have done this. And people that you know have done this. Next slide. Who is this person? That is Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian is a brilliant marketer. Say what you want to about her, but she's brilliant at marketing, and she's very good at posting thirst traps. It gets your attention. Everyone, without seeing her whole head, everybody knew who it was, right? Gets your attention, pulls you right in. Next. Who's this? Aquaman. Jason Momoa. So dudes do this too. It is not, just men. It's not just women. It's all right. Y'all fan yourself. It's all right. You can calm down a little bit. Okay? But it gets the reaction that you had is exactly the reaction that people are looking for. That's why this happens. That's why they do it. And that's what gets people's attention. So you just proved the principle just now. Like, oh, yeah, kind of got me there. So, next. Is this normal? Are people saying this is normal? Are people showing that this is normal? Yes. In both legacy media, social media, modern media, everyone is saying, oh, this is fine, this is normal, this is good. Next up. Article after article saying how normal and great it is for people to engage in sex work to make money. And this is not chump change. This is not what you'd make working at McDonald's or Walmart. I mean, $500,000 a month? That's more than I've made in my medical career. Yeah. So they're advertising this like, look, you can make $500,000 a month. That's a whole lot of money. Would you rather work for a month, make $500,000, or would you rather work for $10 an hour? A lot of people say, well, I'm gonna make $500,000. You don't have to work very many hours doing that, and you don't have to flip burgers, you don't have to talk to people at Walmart, you can just work 1 month and done. Next. Denise Richards and Sammy Sheen. Sammy Sheen, who's their dad? Winning! Charlie Sheen. So Denise Richards is the ex-wife of Charlie Sheen. Sammy Sheen is his daughter. Both the mother and the daughter have OnlyFans where they sell sexual content on the internet. So celebrities are doing this too. So if you can make a whole bunch of money, and celebrities are doing it, and you can make a bunch of money, why not do it? It's being normalized. Next. What about in media design for teenagers, and what about in some of the medical community? This is an article on Teen Vogue, which is for teens, thus the name, written by a physician who says sex work is real work. And her argument is, well, since I talk about sex, that must mean I'm a sex worker too. So sex work is okay. And it normalized and kind of glamorized actually underage sex work, so sex work under the age of 18. This article is still up. There was a lot of controversy about it, but it's still there. And the one good thing about it is it allows us to have a conversation about just how malignant, how awful some things can be. Next. What is the blue symbol? What is the other symbol? What is the picture of Instagram? What is that actually of? A camera, back from the old Polaroid cameras. And these are billions of people. Think of $1 billion. How much is $1 billion? It is a lot. If you were to take all that, stack it up, and fill the room with $1 bills. Okay? And these are recently updated numbers. I did a similar presentation about 6 months ago, and it goes up by about 500,000 people per month. Okay? These are active users, not just people who create an account and leave it. This isn't people who create multiple accounts. This is active users. Next. What is the one on your left? How do you know that? Does it say TikTok? But you know it is. So it's a symbol. What about the other one? What is the Snapchat symbol of? Why is it a ghost? Because your messages disappear. Except they don't. Fun fact for you, Snapchat messages don't actually disappear. They're stored forever. So all those messages you send it, think they've gone away, they're actually stored in your phone and on Snapchat forever. Okay? So 6 months ago, the number of active users for TikTok was about just under 1 billion. And now it's 1.4 billion. It's actually higher than that. So it's increasing at faster rate than any of the others. TikTok in the United States and the rest of the world is different than TikTok in its home country. Who knows what TikTok's home country is? Okay. What's the name of the company? ByteDance. The content that's allowed on TikTok outside of China is completely different than what's allowed inside. It's entirely different, completely different. The overwhelming majority of what you see on TikTok in the US would never be allowed in China. Okay. Next. All right, so this is kind of a slide here that shows different ages. What it shows is, if you look at TikTok, 30% of households with kids between 9 and 11 have TikTok. Nobody has Facebook because that's for old people. I've accepted that. So TikTok's huge, it's growing. Next. So everyone's heard of an influencer because the #1 job that people want these days is to become an influencer. Influencer where you influence people to do things like give you money. So the term sexfluencer comes from someone who gets money by selling sex. A lot of times it starts on TikTok. TikTok is short. It is tiny little bites of entertainment that gets your dopamine levels up. Dopamine's a reward hormone. It's like, oh, I feel great about this. Ooh, that's cool. Dopamine. You win. Oh, dopamine. Get A on the test. Oh, dopamine. Pretty flower. Oh, dopamine. But it's little puffs in reality. This is dopamine, 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 dopamine. Who has heard of the term doom scrolling? You're just looking for bad stuff all the time. People will not let the videos finish before they go to the next one. So it's constantly overstimulating your brain. But you can only have certain amount of scandalous things on TikTok. So you have a link to your Instagram. What do you have on your Instagram? We have a link to your Twitter. Or you also have something called a link tree. A link tree is basically, here's all the links you're looking for. And a lot of times they'll put, here's the link you're really looking for. And they will sell various types of images and videos on there. Sometimes, like, here's a sample of what I'm getting. Here is a censored version of what I'm getting. And they almost always link to OnlyFans. There's other ones out now called like Fansly and things like that, but OnlyFans is the king. It's like, do you use web crawler as a search engine? Do you use Bing as a search engine? Or do you use Google? You Google something. You don't Bing it, you don't web crawler it, you don't do that. You don't Alta Vista it. You Google it. So OnlyFans is the primary market where this is going on. But can you make money on TikTok? Yes. Next. So, where's the money going? Money's going to TikTok. Okay, in 2019, 16% of companies advertised on TikTok. Now it's 68%, and that was 2 years ago. So the number just keeps going up. That's where the traffic is going. That's where the money is going. Instagram's also a big one. Number one dating app in the world is Instagram. People find each other on Instagram. It's a hookup app. It was initially designed to share pictures, things like that. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You can find people locally, you can pick up people there, and you always see the very best. Who sees food that looks terrible on Instagram? Occasionally? Do you post it? Like, here's a sad hamburger? No? Yeah. So it's like, no, you have to get the lighting right, you have to get everything out there. So there's, no one has bad food on Instagram. But all of this money, there's billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars going into this. And why do people sell advertisements? What's advertisement money for? So you buy things from them, so you give them your money. And you want to feel good about yourself to get the money. You want to make money yourself if you can. So they figured out on TikTok, how can you make money while we use you to sell things to people? So there's different ways to make money. Sometimes there's branded content. Like, here's Dr. Ben's soap. It makes you clean. Or you can say, I'm partnering with Prada, or I'm partnering with Louis Vuitton, or like, here's me in this brand deal. So I'm linking myself to something else. You can sell your own stuff. There's also something called the Creator Fund, where if you get the more impressions that you get, the more people that view your video, the more money you make. So, yes? So YouTube is monetized with advertisements. So the advertisements you see in YouTube are more clear because it'll stop, it'll play the ad, and it will change the ad based on that. A lot of times what you see on TikTok is not actual content, it's an advertisement. It looks almost identical to an actual video, and you see it, and it will come up. The more you skip over it, the more you'll actually see it. So it's always there in your face, and it will be tailored to the content that you see. So, do you think that, which is more interesting? How to paint your bathroom in 50 easy steps. Or, here's two people duking it out at a school, playground, knocking each other's teeth out, yelling World Star. Everyone wants to watch the bathroom being painted, right? No, the other one's way more entertaining. People want to watch each other going fisticuff. That's way more entertaining. People pay to go to fights. You can see it for free. So, to make money on here, they say you have to be 18. How do they check? They ask you, and you're going to be honest, right? No one's going to lie. I mean, no one's ever lied before, especially when you can make money at it. You can get 10,000 followers each. There's actually things that you can actually go on, pay $10, and you get 10,000 followers. Yep. Get 100,000 views over 30 days. Well, if each of those 10,000 followers view one video a day for 10 days, you got it in 30 days. You can get this within a day or two with $20. Every 1,000, you get 2 to 4 cents. Sometimes it's up as 5 cents if you're really popular. So get 1 million views, $20. Not so bad. That's not where the real money's at. Next. TikTok Live. Now, TikTok has changed a lot lately because it got a whole bunch of flack. Because it used to be 16 years old. You start a live video. Okay? And a lot of times it's, people doing, most TikTok, live stuff is, here's me doing my daily things. I'm cooking today, or here's a makeup tutorial. And that's fine. But you can send people gifts. And so, let's say I pay $20, get a bunch of these coins, use these coins to buy these gifts. You send people these gifts, and they can exchange them for real money. Not so bad. But people don't want to watch paint dry in a bathroom. No, they want the juicy stuff. They want the sexy stuff. So what do people do? They engage in highly sexualized content on TikTok Lives. It might be wearing little to nothing. It might be acting in a very sexualized manner. It could be I will do this for this many gifts. Once I get to this numbers, you can do a fit check. Who knows what a fit check is? What's a fit check? Mhm. I stand up here. Fit check. And so there's different terminology people know. It's like I'll do X, Y, and Z once I get these number of gifts. And some of these gifts are worth several $100s. And the more you get, you do it every day, you can make money. You can make more money than you can make other places. But you always want more. And because there's so many other people doing it now, you got to get more extreme and more extreme and more extreme. Okay? So where does that lead? To OnlyFans. There are 170 million people on it, 1.5 million make stuff. It's growing about the same rate as TikTok is. And who here has heard of Wendy's? Restaurant? New York Times newspaper? Staples and Office Max? Yeah, they make more money than them. Okay? So some of these people are advertised as making millions of dollars a month. And some will have subscriptions, like usually $5 to $10, sometimes more. But you can get tips and sell private different things. And the more extreme, the more you get. The more you degrade yourself, the more money you get. Next up. Anybody recognize these names? Which names do you recognize? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If no one in this room has heard of Cardi B, you've been obviously, All right, poll, which is better, Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion? All right, so we're gonna divide the room up and you guys can fight it out afterwards. But this is, look, if you look at the income on here, this is in millions of dollars per month. And this is what gets advertised, okay? These are folks like, I've been working my entire life in medicine. I haven't made this even close to this. This is very attractive. These are people that are famous and you can do it too. This is what's being sold to people. What do you think the average income is of someone creating OnlyFans content per month? So what do you think the average income is of someone who's creating adult content on OnlyFans? Because you see these people making millions of dollars a month.
If you have OnlyFans, if you're a seller, you can log in to watch you be naked or do whatever you do for like 10 minutes at a time.
Nope, so you can access if it's a subscription, you can see their pictures or the videos they have up there, but they'll send you messages and say, hey, for $20, you can get this exclusive video. Or for $100, I'll do 30 seconds of whatever you want and send it to you. Yeah, so it's essentially digital prostitution. And what do you think the average person makes? A month. $148. And this includes folks that make thousands of nude images or videos or you name it. And the internet is forever. Just like I said, oh, you think the pictures, the images, the text and stuff go away from Snapchat? No, this doesn't go away either. You can't take it all down. And if it goes to certain websites over the seas, there's no agreement for them to honor copyright. All this stuff gets out there. So after about 6 months, if you post it on here and there's a paywall, it's out there for free. Forever. And guess who can find it? Your kids, other friends, employers, future romantic partners. At least once a month, you see people that they get fired because they found out they're engaging in digital prostitution. So the question about why is it free? How are they making money? Was it free? Well, that you get in. It's like, here's all this free content, but if you want to see the good stuff, oh, you got to pay extra. And so it's thirst trap after thirst trap after thirst trap. Like, you really want to see the good stuff. For $20, you can see this. For $50, you can see this. Yeah. How much money OnlyFans pays them. So OnlyFans takes 20%. So if you have a subscription, and the subscription is $10 a month, you get $8 of that. If you charge someone $100 for a video, you get $80, they get 20. Yep. The The average person gets $148. And they are just as naked on the internet as everybody else. Yeah. The average length of stay that someone that's on here is about 6 months. But the pictures stay there forever and the videos stay there forever. And look, everyone here can recognize this is a bunch of money. This is life-changing money for some people. But do you really want all your bits out there on the internet forever? Do you want your kids seeing you doing things with people who are not in your life, engaging in acts with strangers? Because that's what's out there. And be like, oh, nobody will find it. Yeah, they find it. I'll do this, I'll never get caught. Yeah, you do. So essentially, OnlyFans is a form of digital prostitution, and OnlyFans is a digital pimp.
So why aren't these men rich?
Because it's technically legal. It's technically legal. Yeah, it's technically legal. Because they're 18 years old, and there's terms of service, and you agree to it. Next. So what if you're not 18? Who here's heard of Omegle? Yeah. So when I was growing up, it's don't talk to strangers. Now it's talk to strangers. One gateway for people to engage in underage sex work is they've used Omegle to meet people using key phrases and key tags. And I've seen it here locally. There's been at least 10 cases that I am familiar with here within the past 2 years where people have been arrested for prostitution under the age of 18 using Omegle. 80% of them had sexually transmitted infections. It's crazy. Next. Well, how does it work? Guess what? You can find tutorials on how to exploit children on the internet. Here's how to find underage prostitution on the internet. Ryan Malone here on the May 2nd of 2023 posted this article on how to find girls on Omegle. It's out there. So here's how to exploit children. Next. So how do people make money? Well, you get, everyone's familiar with Venmo, Cash App. People have a Cash App on everything. Apple Pay, you can send money to one another. What if you want to be untraceable? Amazon gift cards. People start showing up with a whole bunch of extra stuff from Amazon. There's ways around it. So it's essentially money laundering, which is also a crime. So it becomes a bigger federal crime whenever you exchange money digitally for underage child sex abuse material, which any illicit image of a person under the age of 18 is considered child sex abuse material. I'm an expert for the Department of Defense on child sex abuse material. I'm actually going to Germany for 2 weeks to testify in different trials over there about child sex abuse material. And it's very pervasive. Next, here's why. Self-generated imagery, meaning you took the pictures yourself. In 2020, it was up 70+%, and that was 3 years ago. Okay? Internet Watch Foundation goes through and finds, where children are being exploited. They also work for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that I work with as well, to find how people are being exploited on the internet. Next. Here's what's really, really disturbing. So self-generated CSAM, child sex abuse material. Look at category A. Category A is extreme sexual violence. 17% of the content generated by people who did it themselves contained sexual violence. And this is people doing it to themselves for money because it's being glamorized. And no one thinks they're going to get caught. Nobody thinks that they're going to, their parents are going to find out or the police will find out. Nobody thinks that when they jump off of the roof onto the trampoline and into the pool that their legs are going to go through the trampoline. But it does. So people are exploiting themselves because they can make a lot of money. Where does this go? Next. So I talk to people who actually engage in sex work. So it's a business, and it is work, and there's a lot of competition. So you have to do more and more to get more money or the same money. And so there's been some really extreme stuff that could actually cause permanent physical harm to people, scarring, permanent reproductive harm, loss of continence. Who knows what continence means? your ability to hold your pee and poop. And where does it go from there? It goes to in-person sex work. In-person sex work is in-person prostitution, which for individuals under the age of 25 has an extraordinarily high rate of people disappearing and never being seen again. And that can either be because they were sex trafficked somewhere else or they were murdered. You just never see from them again. They disappear. When someone's been gone for 3 or 4 years, they're dead. And this really happens. This happens at a shocking rate. So, except if you think something is easy and you can make a pile of money doing it, and you see people who are famous and rich and popular doing it, it's natural to want to do it too. You see it everywhere. You see it on the stuff that grandma watches, and you see it on the stuff that your little brother watches. There are platforms that exist to intentionally or unintentionally make it easier for people to exploit themselves and others to make money. And people are making money by engaging in digital prostitution. And as much as people are like, I'm fine, I can just do this and quit anytime I want to. Well, what happens when you get used to making a certain amount of money? Yeah, do you want to make less money? It's like, I want to go back, I'm going to go back to McDonald's. I can't wait to go back to McDonald's. I can't wait to go back to someone yelling at me and people throwing things at me through a window and treating me like garbage. I mean, I can understand why someone would not want to do that, but this is a multi-billion-dollar international sex trafficking operation, and people unknowingly buy into it. And a lot of these people are not nice people. Next up. Who knows who this guy is? He's dead. He's an old dead dude. Lots of old dead dudes in this presentation. There's actually a movie coming out about him. So his last name is Oppenheimer. The movie's called Oppenheimer, and he's considered the father of the atomic bomb. And the quote here comes from the Bhagavad Gita, which is an Indian text. It says, "I am become death, destroyer of worlds." And you can make the argument that in the creation of social media and a lot of the modern stuff on the internet, that we have created like a new atomic bomb that's affecting people we don't know. I mean, lots of good things have come from splitting the atom. A lot of terrible things. A lot of good things have come from the internet and social media. A lot of terrible things. We've created this technology, but no one knows how to use it. People used to think smoking was safe. Now we know different. We used to think that social media was, it's fine. People just sharing memes and pictures of cats. I still share pictures of cats, by the way. Anyone can be a cat on the internet, just so you know. But we don't know how to use it. But now we're realizing we've started this and we don't know where it goes. We don't know how it ends. And so what I would encourage you all to do, have that uncomfortable talk, okay? Because if people in this room have not already been solicited to do things they would not want to do, to show body parts that they would not feel comfortable letting their parents see, it's going to happen. I did an experiment myself where I pretended to be a 13-year-old boy, and within 10 minutes, I had been contacted by 3 different people asking me for sex. In Fayetteville. So, it's real, it's out there. We don't talk about it because it's uncomfortable. It's not something you have polite conversation about. And I think everyone who's here wants to be a good human being. They want to take care of people. They want to live a good life. But it's awfully hard to do whenever you feel terrible about yourself, when you have people who are exploiting you and using you for your body, whenever you devalue yourself to make money. Because money does not necessarily buy happiness or security, and it can actually be not so great if you get it by means that destroy the rest of your life. So, next up, that's going to be it. So this is me. I give out my number. It's on bathroom walls everywhere. If you call me, I will assume that you're trying to sell me a car or home extended warranty. Lately, though, it's been credit card scams and people saying, the IRS can save you, whatever. But you email me, you can text me. I'll answer questions about stuff. It's important to talk about things like this. It's important to ask questions like, what are you doing on the internet? Like, what's going on there? I mean, how much time do you really need to be spending on the internet? What does it do for you? You ask the average person, what did you see on the internet today? Oh, no, stuff, things. Oh. mean, you can scroll for like 2 hours. What'd you see? Stuff. Nothing stands out. It doesn't add value to your life. It doesn't do anything meaningful. You take that 2 hours to do literally anything else that could add more value to your life. You could actually spend time with another human being. You can actually do stuff that for your education, do stuff for your business, do stuff for your church, do stuff for your family. But it's easy to get sucked in because it's just digital crack. It just sucks you right in. It's just this constant dopamine right there. And who's heard of Xanax? Xanny bars, recreational benzodiazepines. So one of the big downfalls of Xanax is it was created for short on, short off anxiety, like quick anxiety relief and done. The bad part is the way that it's made, it's extraordinarily addictive because it's a big spike and off. It's the same thing with dopamine and a lot of the modern social media. It's addicting because you get a big spike and off and you want more, and you want more, and so you do more and more and more and more. So Xanax is to drugs as modern social media is to everything else. Ask me questions.
Let's first take a moment to thank Dr. Weger. Thank you so much. Please drink some water, sir. You've been going hard.
I know I've gone long, but
I promise this is not a thirst trap. Please drink some water. It's good for you. You gotta hydrate. Listen, I know we're at time and we've got to get moving, but this is such an important moment. I want to take this time to give people a chance to ask some questions. And I do want to ask the first question. We have a lot of impressionable minds here, including my own, and we can get addictive. I can tell you right now, if I get onto social media, Instagram, and that infinite scroll, I will always take at least 20 minutes longer than I expected to take. What are some things we can do to prevent or to protect ourselves before we even get caught up in the addiction of it?
That's a great question. So the number one thing you can do is recognize that it's highly addictive and recognize that you're going to get sucked into the TikTok rabbit hole. You're going to get sucked into the Instagram rabbit hole if you go down there. There's actually people getting hemorrhoids now. That's stuff that hangs out your butt because they sit on the toilet looking at social media for hours.
I thought it was bad when my feet fell asleep. Am I the only one when your feet fall asleep?
So
you be trying to
like,
walk?
If you take something away, you have to have something to fill it. If you are intentional about things, if you plan things ahead, it's like, I want to do X, Y, and Z. I want to have this in my life. If you plan ahead, you do that. You're doing that instead of this. You're making a conscious choice. If you do not choose the content that you consume, if you do not choose what you're going to do, other people will choose it for you, and these people will choose it for you so they make money, and it doesn't do you any good except suck away your time. How much, let's say, okay, you're ready to take a test, right? You study for that test? How long does it take to study? A couple hours? How many hours you spend on social media? What would you give to have a couple extra hours to study for that test, to get that grade so your parents don't yell at you? It's just a couple hours. Imagine taking that 2 hours, your room's clean, your parents don't yell at you. That 2 hours, you start a business. That 2 hours, you study stuff. That 2 hours, you spend time with that family member you don't get to see that often. You have to fill, you recognize, you take that away, you're going to have a void. You have to have something to fill that void, otherwise you're going to go right back into it. You have to plan ahead. You're going to do it. That's just how human nature is.
Thank you. Our theme tonight is God's presence. We want God's presence with us. And people oftentimes say, well, I can't feel God. I can't see God. He gives us each other. But if we don't make time for each other and we spend more time on this, we're overlooking the gift of his presence that's in each other. So I love what you're saying. Make time for it. In economics, we call it opportunity cost. Whatever I choose to do over here, I'm losing the opportunity to do that over there. So every time we sit on that toilet getting hemorrhoids, that's an image I'll never forget.
Totally
we're not spending time with people that we love and that love us. Right? And that could give us dopamine as well. We get dopamine from high fives and hugs and kisses and time and connection. We get it from there too. We choose where we're going to get it. Right.
You say, like, what'd you do today? I was on the internet. What'd you do? I don't know. Or it's like, I spent time with my grandma today. We talked about her life growing up, and we cooked together. Or I spent time with my mom and dad, and I got to hear like what it was like when they were a kid. And we actually did stuff. Like we went outside and cooked food and just talked about life. Or I went with my dog, and we just walked and got to experience nature. Or I got to read a book, and it's like, oh, this is a really fascinating story about this. Or I watched a documentary, we talked about this. And there's all these different things that you can do. That you can say, hey, I actually did that, and you remember it, because you know it adds value to your life because you remember it. How much, like, what'd you look on social media this morning? Nothing, that stuff.
Blur.
It's a blur.
That's a good point. Questions, comments, concerns, thoughts. Is he making sense? Especially you teenagers, this stuff makes sense. You learn some vocabulary today as well.
Who here likes to be controlled? Who likes to be told what to do? Who likes to have things taken away from them? Like, I want you to do what I want you to do, not what you want to do. I want you to do this. Yeah, it's probably going to hurt you, but I don't care. Who wants that in their life? Does anyone want that? I don't think anybody wants that. That's what's happening. You don't realize it. If you choose the pathway you're going to take in life, if you are intentional with your thoughts, if you are intentional with your plans, I'm going to like how many businesses haven't been started because they were just screwing off on the internet? How many relationships just kind of fell apart? How many people grew apart? I mean, how much badness has just generally happened by not being intentional? If you're not intentional with your time, other people will intentionally use your time for their gain. They will use you. They will take from you. And nobody wants that.
Dr. Wenger, you know how the brain works. So let's say we're spending some time on social media. You said it's not all evil and bad. No. How do we limit ourselves so we don't get enslaved while we're in there? How do we give ourselves a time limit and stick to it?
Schedule it.
You have to schedule it.
Schedule it. It's like, I'm going to spend this amount of time, and I'm going to look at this thing. And you be intentional. Like, I'm going to look at stuff that's like, when I say I post cat pictures, I do. I post, pictures of cute kittens and cats doing silly and funny things every once in a while. Yeah.
There's also this thing on YouTube now where basically you can do these things and like time to take a break. Now you can choose to dismiss it, but it's if you are intentional with it, you can definitely like follow it.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Netflix comes on, it's like, are you still watching this? Everyone's done that. Yeah, exactly. You have to say, I'm going to look at funny things, or I'm going to learn about how to do this skill, or I'm going to talk to this person, being intentional about it, and then not just scrolling at random stuff.
The Bible says, write the vision and make it plain, right? I'm going to go and make it plain. This is what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to get out. And it's almost like what's the word? You have to go in and infiltrate the enemy lines, right? You got to get in, you got to get out, because they'll get you if you stay too long.
Yeah.
And you know it's going to happen.
Because it is a trap, and it's designed to be that way. It's literally designed to suck you in and keep your eyes on it. The program actually looks at your eyeballs through the camera to see how much time your eyes are on different things.
We're in the Matrix, y'all. It's real.
Yeah. It's like, why do you think if you talk about, let's say you talk about sailboats, you start seeing advertisements for sailboats.
Scary, right? Javon, scary.
It literally listens to you, and it's in the terms of service. If you start typing something into it and delete it, it saves that. It saves every search, and then so they have something called data aggregation. So they have their data, and they work with other people, and they put their data together. They've actually been able to predict when someone's pregnant, and they didn't even know it. There's a classic story about Target sending people ads for baby stuff. And like, why is my daughter getting this? She was pregnant. They knew she was pregnant before she knew she was pregnant. They have that much data on us, and it all comes through time that we spend on social media, things that we say, things we type, things we look at.
Beware, be careful.
If you go for a trip and you put it in, I want to go to Brazil.
Yep.
You look up, and all of a sudden you get all these advertisements about Brazil, but next week it's
Exactly. So they're trying to sell you stuff, and it's not necessarily all bad. But if you look at garbage, you will be served garbage, and that's all you will get.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
On Wednesday, at that time, my phone will start giving me instructions as to how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell you I was going there.
Yep.
It's like, so it does. It remembers. And I told my husband just the other day, we was talking about. He told me that he was looking up for something, and now he's getting all these advertisements and whatever. And somebody told me that your phone listens to you. You have to cut off the something that you can cut off. What is it? You have to cut off something. Yeah, because it listens to what your conversation is, and then it'll give you what you think you want. Like what you said.
And fun fact for you, your phone, even if you shut your phone completely off, it still tracks you. It shows everywhere that you've been and how long you stayed there. Because once it goes back online, Apple acknowledges that they do this, that it goes back online and says, well, what's at this place? Well, if they go to Chick-fil-A a lot, it must be that Chick-fil-A's there. We should sell them Chick-fil-A advertisements. If we go to Walmart, oh, here's a Walmart advertisement. So once you go back online, and every time that your phone touches a Wi-Fi network, it tracks all that data. If you go to Las Vegas, there is the Las Vegas Convention Center there. If you touch their Wi-Fi with your phone, they know everything about you. They ping it because it automatically goes to your profile that they have saved, and they're just massive terabytes of data about you, and they start getting advertisements while you're there.
That some like an example of almost like what they were saying. Basically, I feel like so my mom, she was trying to find something for the nursery, like a video, a Christian video of songs and stuff, and she said it's called like Hey Bear, and it was like clouds or whatever, and they were singing. So I went on YouTube on the TV so I could play it out, and then I typed in Hey Bear came up, and I was like, there's so many other Heys, like how did Hey Bear come up in the exact same video?
Yep.
It was
It's called
crazy.
machine learning. Machine learning is the precursor to artificial intelligence, and now they have artificial intelligence running things to try to predict what you want before you want it, so they can sell you more stuff. And when it comes to the sex industry, there, it's the same thing. You start getting fans for that. You start getting pushed to these other things. It's crazy how, and it's happened so slowly over time. You never realized it until it's like, oh no, this is a real problem.
So you know how you like text somebody and if you say the wrong thing, sometimes they can recorrect you too.
Yep.
Also, and I didn't realize that.
Yeah, autocorrect.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and if you like you're talking about when you type something into a search engine, it tries like predictive text. Okay, it learns from you, from your profile. Like if you look on Android phones, for example, like if you look at your Google file on there, it's gigabytes and gigabytes of size because it's learning everything you've ever looked at, everything you've ever bought, every phone call you've ever made, every text message you've ever sent. If you talked about buying ham sandwiches, okay, it knows you're more likely to buy ham than you are something else because you've talked about it. And they track that because this is billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars of money.
And when it's ham sandwiches or jeans or a cell phone, it's interesting. I still feel violated, but it's interesting. But it was my freedom and my life and my health.
Yeah.
We really need to get serious about this show and pay very close attention. And it starts with us. They say the Russians interfered with the election. It wasn't so much that the Russians messed with the ballot box. They got into our social media.
Psychological operations.
It was through our heads. And we started just fighting against each other in certain ways. I want to close with this scripture because it's a scripture that Sister Elena chose for the night, and you're going to find it interesting, Dr. Waker, how this ties in. It says, it's Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. It says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And I think we need to realize that we are not as big and strong enough to deal with this enemy. We are not big enough to fight this addiction on our own. We have got to pull out of it. We've got to give ourselves limits. We got to find love with each other. But I want you to know, he said, "I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Benjamin in the ancient Hebrew means the son of the right hand. So I love the fact that Sister Elena just last night, she's like, this is scripture we want to go with. She just chose that last night. And we had our speaker tonight whose name means the son of the right hand. So hear what God is saying. There is deliverance from this darkness, even if you've already been messed up or mixed up in it. If you've put out 1,000 thirst traps, God says, I can still redeem and pull you out of that. And he sees you and your heart, and they see your body and the money they can make from you. Go toward him. He will redeem you. He'll pull you out of that, and he'll help you pull other people out. And we can all be a source of dopamine and connection and community for each other, right?
And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help from your friends, from your family, from higher power. It's hard to live your life alone. I mean, there's a TV show called Alone. The number one reason why people quit alone is because they miss their family, they feel disconnected. I mean, it's $500,000 online. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to acknowledge that you have a problem. Recognize that. That's the first step in fixing things. And it's okay to lean on each other because everyone has hard times. It's okay to lean on one another, and having a community where you can do that it makes everything stronger when you do that. So.
Thank you so much. Let's give it one more round of applause. Thank God. Dr. Ben Wager, thank you so much. The funder of a dog show enterprise. And we are, of course, you've got your hydration. We're going to do some tie-dye shirts, so let's have some fun. Let's put our phones off and just engage with each other and have a good time. We're going to continue on from here. So I think our next step is, Pastor, come on forward. Pastor, we want to give a little appreciation to you, Doc. We know that you just came here out of the goodness of your heart. We also want to let you know that we're grateful for the work you put in and the time you put in.
Thank you so much. Let's give him another big hand. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And I'm serious when I say it's okay to reach out to me if it's something that's urgent and you're like, I don't know what to do, shoot me a text message, say who you are and what you need. If it's less urgent, shoot me an email. My Proton mail is encrypted. I pay for the encryption on it, so there's not people like Gmail tracking you. Don't use Gmail, by the way, because it tracks everything you do.
Well, I use Gmail. So it tracks everything you do.
Every message you've ever sent, who you sent it to, when you sent it, what websites you were on, and other tabs.
Wait. You say that last thing you just said. So while I'm in Gmail, it tracks what?
What website? So while you're in Gmail, composing or receiving messages,
Yes.
it tracks what other tabs you have open.
I did not know that. Raise your hand if you knew that already. Oh yeah, I know Gmail.
Mm-hmm.
You're smarter than me. Okay,
Why do you
thank
think you see the ads change in Gmail?
Oh, they get you.
That's how they get you.
They get you with the algorithm.
So Yahoo is Yahoo the same way?
Yep.
Yep.
Yahoo puts the ads on the sides. Yeah, I see
Yeah.
how they do that.
The principles are the same.
So tell us the email that you use that helps.
So Proton Mail, it's actually free. It's based out of Sweden. There's paid versions of it too. I was an early adopter. I choose to pay for it. There's no advertisements on it. It says if you're not paying for something, you are the product. You know who said that? Tim Cook, president of Apple. If you are not paying for it, you are the product.
And I think about in our schools, in Cumberland County schools, what do you all use when you want to type a document? What do you use? Gmail and Google Docs. And then what do you want to do a presentation like we have here? What do you use? Google Slides. And it's free. It's for the whole school. But they're getting us all to be on track with Google and use
You
Google
get
for
used to it.
everything.
You get accustomed to it. It's like, it's normal. Everyone uses it, and they know everything about you for your entire life.
You messing me up, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's daunting, but again, we can have faith that we know God's going to get us through, but we got to make good decisions, stay at the right hand, and take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Thank you so much. You're educating us at the next level. Praise God.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being so attentive. Thank you for talking with me this evening. Like I said, feel free to reach out. I'll answer any kind of questions that you have. But know that everyone who's here together tonight is here intentionally. You're not sitting at home doom scrolling on different things. You're not out, causing your life to be worse. You're here together for a reason, and a whole lot of people need a lot more of that. So, thank you very much again.
Amen. Hey, thank you, sir. And thank you for what you're doing in the community as well, Dr. Weger. There are kids and there are people who need love and support and need alternatives to what the internet and what the world is offering to them. I'm grateful. We thank God for what you're doing, and I thank God for what we're doing in this house as well. And family at home, remember, when all is said and done, it's daunting, it's scary, it's true, but you know what? At the end of the day, all you can do is do what you can, do what is possible, then watch God do the impossible.